Well. It's been a while. About 2 weeks. Maybe a little more than 2 weeks. No, that's not right. No, that's not right. It's 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Because my not my reminder, but my activity feed says 3 weeks. But that's because there's a week in between two different streams. So obviously, anyway, hello, welcome to our return, our glorious return to Rose Guns Days. Welcome, Kat. How are you doing? Yes, exactly. This is the combo breaker that's gonna break all the combos. I, I had no follow up ready for that. You're decent. That's decent. Glad to hear it. I I had a day, a long one, but I got home earlier, a little bit earlier than normal. I ordered takeout, so I ate like a lot of fries. I'm ready. I'm ready to go, despite having a very long day. That was also short, but you know what I mean. Um, so yeah, very much ready to get back into the swing of things and start reading more Rose Guns Days. Hopefully, I won't have to put things on pause again, but we'll see. Life happens sometimes, and a week or two missed here and there isn't the end of the world. But wow, does it make me rusty because I forgot where all the buttons were, and it's only been 2 weeks, so yikes. Anyway, why don't we just dive right in with a content warning? I should also enable this little thing. Because again, forgot all the buttons. Oh, I have to reconnect the thing that I just turned on. I wish my muscle memory was better than it is. But it fails me with the buttons sometimes. How do I redo that? Oh my fucking god, did I just... Nope, no, we're good. Just have to hit some buttons. There we go. That ought to fix it. This is just to make sure that my save reminder works. There we go. Perfect. All right, back to our content warning. Content warning for Rose Guns Days. Here's our save reminder. Thank you. I can't save yet though. Content warning for violence, gun violence, racism, sexual content, including references to assault, misogyny, alcohol abuse, characters dealing with trauma and depression, and other mental issues. I have not played this game before. I cannot give more detailed warnings until after we're, done with the stream. If those are necessary, what I do is for the YouTube VOD, I add them to the description. So if you need more detailed content warnings, go to YouTube, and then you'll have all the information you need over there. Okay, yes. It's very quiet, so I'm just going to turn the game on. It's too quiet. I can hear myself braying. And once we have some background music, I will remind you of what happened last time with a neatly pre-prepared summary. Because last time, it was finally there. The big showdown. Primavera versus the Caleb family. And it was a really, it was a plan that consisted of, 3 different parts? Everybody split up into 3 groups, and one of those groups was... Well, no, it was 2 groups at first, and then one group split up into a group of Rose and Wayne, and the other group, which was no longer a group, which was just Leo. Yes! And great decision, because while Primavera was recovered by Cyrus, Richard, Meryl, and how come I don't? Stella. I remember the names. I just forgot. They, along with some help from Amanda, managed to recover Primavera. As in, the club. It gets a little dicey and there's a shootout, but they do win in the end. In part, I think, because the group that's attacking them, part of them is recalled to go to the hotel, because I think one of them has like a hunch that there's something more going on, that it's a potential diversion. And this guy and his crew end up going to the hotel where Leo, Rose, and Wayne are heading to take out Caleb and Miguel. Leo decides, you know what? I can handle these guys. It's like 40. Yeah, there's like 40 of them. Several of them are like really well trained and they have a shit ton of guns. I can take him. He's peasy, right? And then he does. He wins. He takes them on. He wins. It's wild. At the same time, I distracted myself with thinking about how awesome Leo was last episode. At the same time, Wayne and Miguel have this big showdown where they almost kill each other, and right when it's about to go down, Caleb orders Miguel to stand down, because he doesn't want Miguel to die. This leads into Caleb and Rose having what is essentially a duel. Very gentlemanly, I would say, but that word, well, gentlewomanly in Rose's case. And they just sort of agree, like, yeah, we should have done this earlier, and good luck, I guess. And Rose wins in the end. She takes Caleb out. We don't 100% know if he's dead or not. Same with Miguel. That's never fully confirmed, just that they're, you know, out of the fight. So hey, maybe we'll see them again, maybe we won't. Either way, Primavera, after this, officially becomes a mafia family, though they also have a more legal, you know, friendly front, which is, I think it was the Society for the Well-Being of the, something like that. You know, to support their fellow countrymen, but also a mafia family. They're both. They do this with support from the remnants of the Caleb family, including James Tomitake, and unofficial support from Butler and Meiju, and Don McDowell, who is the grandfather of the soldier they rescued back in Season 1, I think. For some time, they build up their organization, and they run it to help their countrymen, and everyone's super happy with it. And then, at the end of last episode, Leo decides to go back to the country in the south where he fought during the war, to help the friends that he left behind there, and to help them win their war. He even says he doesn't expect to come back. So, very tearful goodbye with Rose. But she returns to the rest of the group, resolved, you know, full of, like, yeah, we're gonna do this, we're gonna help everybody out, and that's where we left off. With the casual note, somewhere in all that, that other families, other crime families, might be eyeing the territory of City 23. And considering, okay, this is not. Considering that we are not done with the episode yet, with the arc, I suspect that we will be running into those other families very soon. But that's just my guess. Ah, we're back in modern day. I'm so ultra prepared today. I have both hot tea and cold water because the tea is too hot to drink. I am prepared to voice. I'm never prepared to voice my role. That's a pipe dream. That's never happening. I need the mental prep, even if I don't need like physically get ready. Nah. Okay. When Madame Jeanne finished speaking, she sipped some black tea with an elegant aroma. I'm so glad we're not starting on Meryl. For a while, I remained stunned. Though I had been called here this morning, it was only around noon now. And yet, I felt dazed, as though I'd finished watching a half-day-long movie. I mean, same. So much has happened already, and we're like maybe halfway through, I think. Julie, you must be tired. Why don't we have lunch? Oh, yes, no, it's not as though I'm tired or anything. Still, when the people involved wrote about the nighttime incident of Roses and Guns, they said it was carried out under your leadership, right? Madame Rose's name had not been left behind in history. All of her great works have been rewritten as accomplishments of Madame Jeanne. Because Madame Rose hadn't wanted her own name written into history. After all, it was an era without the internet or those smart whatchamacallits we have now. All it took was a little convincing of the people involved, and you could rewrite history all you liked. Furthermore, it wasn't surface history. It was the dark history of the underworld, which made it even easier. However, neither we nor— wait, it's Sean again, sorry. However, neither we nor they have ever let our respect for Madame Rose dim in the slightest. So we, at least, left aside. Only the name of the incident, however. The nighttime incident of Roses and Guns. I see. According to later research on the nighttime incident of Roses and Guns, the victory in the war depended not on military strength, but by gaining the backing of America and China through careful preparation. However, after hearing Madame Jeanne's story, I sort of felt as though that needed to be revised somewhat. Because Madame Rose stood up on her own. She was able to get the backing of the Americans and the Chinese. Who would ever involve themselves in a war on the side of someone unwilling to get their own hands dirty? As proof, both Butler and Meiju had actually supported Caleb during the time Primavera lacked the will to go to war. Heaven helps those who help themselves. That famous phrase is from the start of Samuel Smiles' Self-Help, written in 1859. In other words, fools who don't make an effort to save themselves will be destroyed. In the previous century, it was the habit of Japanese ladies and gentlemen to refuse to get their own hands dirty, to play dumb and refuse to look trouble in the eye. And they were destroyed. Those of us living as a minority in the 21st century are surely paying the price for their arrogance in the last century. Whoops. Better be careful. If I keep thinking about this and write it in a column, I might be branded as a nationalist. All I want is to pass a normal review and get my normal salary and bonuses and paid acknowledgements. December 31st, 2012. Yesterday was the 67th anniversary of the day Ryo Shishigami left Japan. I, Hayashibara Julie, had been called to Madame Jeanne's residence once again, and was listening to her stories again. Did her last name change, or did I just completely forget that that was her last name? You also forgot her last name? Okay, good, it's not just me. It has been a very long time since we last saw Julie, so it's only fair. By the way, I plan to go to my family's house for New Year's Day tomorrow. After giving my parents New Year's greetings and apologizing for not bringing a husband candidate for yet another year running, I plan to borrow a room and go through today's manuscript. Chapter ended. Maybe I should have read those last, 3 lines last time. Didn't see it coming. Still don't know if this is a good high score or not. New music? I guess that must be her last name and has been from the beginning because it wasn't a typo. Thank you for waiting, Hayashibara-sama. This way, please. Whoa. Now there's a ceiling. The young man guided me to a luxurious Japanese-style room. I knew what it was like to see a tea room in a cultural exhibit, but this was the first time I had seen one actually in use in someone's house. In modern Japan, Japanese-style rooms in actual use were extremely rare. It goes without saying, but modern Japan is a cosmopolitan state. In other words, it's a state with a mix of races and cultures, but with no characteristic Japanese culture of its own. However, though the Japanese had become such a minority now, up until the 1970s, there had been somewhat of a boom of Japanese culture, possibly out of curiosity. At the turn of the century, a neighborhood movement sprang up among Japanese people who had emigrated. According to them, Japanese culture should be condemned since it's tied to pre-war Japan, and therefore likely to stir up fear in other Asian countries. As they became more of a minority, they struck the final blow against Japanese culture, which now lacked a successor. If I were to add what Madame Jeanne what is this sentence? If I were to add what Madame Jeanne would surely say, other people started the problem. But it was us Japanese who struck the final blow. A portion of Japanese senators who wanted immigrant votes voiced their support for this. They stepped forward to take up the flag on expelling Japanese culture. As a result, Japanese buildings across the country that had been protected as cultural assets had their funding cut and were demolished. Several traditional buildings that were once called vital cultural assets were torn down by heavy machinery. Japanese people stood on the wreckage of their ancestors' culture and spoke of the dawn of a new age, making the peace sign and showing off how cosmopolitan they were. On top of that, an unwritten rule began to grow, stating that Japanese-style design was inappropriate for public facilities. Just the other day, there was an uproar at the breaking-in ceremony of a nearby public office. The design on part of the wallpaper looked Japanese, so they were forced to redo it. So now, it's customary to do everything in a Western style, to avoid any fear of criticism. And in an era like that, it's probably safe to say that only Madame Jeanne could have built a Japanese-style mansion like this, right in the middle of Tokyo. To be honest, that was partly why I felt enormous pressure at being in an orthodox Japanese-style room like this. Is this your first time in a Japanese-style room? Didn't they have one at the Chinese-Japanese Cultural Missionary? Well, more or less. But I've never seen one so authentic and... Yes, to you it must look like a room where corrupt politicians plot their conspiracies. No, not at all. I would never. That was also right on the mark. It's because of this era's background. The Japanese room, a piece of Japanese culture, had an extremely negative image in modern times. These days, you would never see Japanese rooms except on TV dramas. And even then, it was always shown as a demon's abode, the place where the big villain pulled the strings of Japan's dark side. It was the same in video games. In RPGs and FPSs, it was normal for Japanese mansions to be the final stage, or for Japanese people to be the final boss. In Raging Quest, KOD, and Zombie Hazard, the mastermind was always Japanese. In the previous century, it was okay to have Germans and Russians as enemies too. But both countries had succeeded in diplomatic efforts, and now they never appeared as enemies in games. The Japanese were only popular inside games, and on this very day, hundreds of millions of gamers would get some pseudo-murder catharsis out of it. Though personally, I've gotten sick and tired of Japanese last bosses plotting a revival of the Empire. So, as a gamer myself, I was a bit overwhelmed at being guided to a room that looked like a final boss's lair. Without letting that faze me, I enjoyed a precious Japanese lunch. Out of it all, the sashimi was a particularly precious experience. Oops, sorry. I was drinking tea. Yeah, I feel like there's still a lot of video games with bad guys that are Japanese that are like the final boss, but usually it's in Japanese games actually, so yeah. Yeah, if only it was a black tea, but it's some sort of herbal thingy. Or green tea, I guess. But no. Oh? Can young people these days not handle sashimi? Oh, please forgive me. I wouldn't mind if it were cooked, but raw fish is a bit scary to me. I knew that I can say this word. I tell myself, so I don't cry myself to sleep at night. I knew that sashimi... Why? Sashimi, it's easy. I knew that sashimi was a bit of culture that existed in old Japan. How astounding. Just a mere half-century ago, our Japan had raw fish as part of its staple diet. How unsanitary. Meat that hasn't been cooked to kill the germs is just scary. Well, that's probably only for cheap fish. It probably doesn't apply to the ultra-luxury ingredients Madame Jeanne can get. The idea that sashimi is unsanitary is a mainlander's way of thinking. The continent is vast, so it takes several days to carry the fruits of the sea to the inland areas. That's why raw things go bad. Because of that, it became natural to cook it with fire or fry it with oil. As a result, people have grown to assume that uncooked fish has gone bad and is therefore unsanitary. Is that so? Indeed it is. In an island nation like Japan, everywhere is close to the sea, so the fish we get are quite fresh. So there's no need to cook it and ruin the flavor. This is a typo. Don't worry, you saw nothing. I pretend I do not see the typos. Now that you mention it, fruits like that, it's only natural that fruit freshly picked from a growing area would be delicious without any processing. Exactly. So please, don't be afraid and have a bite. Having been told that, I had no choice but to eat it. I wasn't exactly Madame Jeanne's trusted friend. I was just the newspaper writer she had chosen. It wasn't as though I'd get a stomachache from a little bit of raw meat. It's delicious. Aren't you going to use any soy sauce? Huh? Soy? That's how you know it's gotten really bad, though. No soy sauce. Because remember the big fuss they made about real soy sauce in season 1? That was a huge deal. Oh, so this black liquid is that soy sauce stuff. Wasn't that the condiment that used specifically for eating sashimi? I've heard the Japanese consumed a large quantity of it before the war. However, it's gone out of fashion, and its public image is far from good now. I just got a new Neko flashback. If I recall, it had an extremely high salt content, and it could even cause blindness or lower body paralysis. What? What? Guys, is that real? That seems like a problem. Don't eat Marmite then? I mean, huge quantities of salt are real bad for you, so that's, you know, that makes sense, I guess. Yeah, Marmite does seem worse. It wasn't just unhealthy, it was a mysterious poison. I'd always assumed it was some sort of edible poison used to kill all the germs sticking to raw fish. Isn't that how young people think of it these days? Right on the mark again. I hung my head apologetically. Wow. Putting poisons into food products is something that happens every day. Reused cooking oil, unsanitary filth, excessive pesticides, and growth stimulants. Modern Japanese people may be maintaining a well-balanced diet, but you see, in the past, The Japanese called soy sauce the drops of their soul and could not do without it. How sad that it has become so disliked in a mere half-century. Drops of the Japanese soul? That's right. Such a shame that someone like you, with Japanese blood in their veins, has never tasted soy sauce. There are various reasons for why soy sauce grew to be so disliked. The sudden rise in price, which kept it out of the hands of the common man, had a lot to do with it. But the soy sauce syndrome that began spreading after the war was also a large factor. The soy sauce syndrome? That's right. An urban legend. Ah. So it wasn't real. That makes sense. Putting soy sauce into your mouth would supposedly strike you blind or make your body become paralyzed. And of course, real soy sauce never did things like that. Probably not unless you drank it like water. However, many chemicals harmful to the human body were used in the fake soy sauce that started making the rounds after the war. Its bad reputation spread, and that reputation eventually infected real soy sauce too. So a part of Japanese culture so big that they called it the drops of their soul had gone extinct. I didn't really get it, but it must have been extremely saddening to Madame Jeanne. Soy sauce was one of the things Madame Rose loved and wanted to see the Japanese people regain. Ah, yes. Why don't I tell you about 1948 now? This was 1 year after the formation of the Primavera family. It was a time when Madame Rose was running about, working to build an ideal society for her countrymen. Well, my voice gave up on me. Hold on. That happens sometimes. Come to think of it, in one of your stories about Madame Rose, she was concerned about the circulation of soy sauce, wasn't she? That's right. You've got a good memory. Madame Rose began by trying to alter the wages of her countrymen who worked as laborers. Her next priority was to improve the food culture, the sort of Japanese culture most familiar to the common man. And she did that with soy sauce? Do you mind if I turn on my voice recorder? Let's hold off on that until we finish eating. Diving into the main subject during a meal is a part of Japanese culture which ought to be changed. Then, after the meal, Madame Jeanne began to speak. 1 year later in City 23, in the year 1948, the tale of the days of Madame Rose and guns. Okay. We have a new person. Who probably needs like a jacket or something. I was gonna say, yeah. And she is panting. A lone girl dashed through a grimy alleyway. Her feet were bare, and she was wearing nothing but worn-out underclothes. She ran as fast as she could, in fear of something behind her. Did you see her over there? Damn that little bitch. Look what we get for trying to be just a little bit gentle with her. No good. This alleyway is no good. I've gotta go back and choose another alley, but if I do, I'll bump into the people chasing me. There she is. I found the little brat. The girl stumbled, knocked over a trash can, and fell into a pile of its contents. However, she immediately started crawling across the ground, scraping the junk off her as she dashed. She ran like a frightened rabbit, completely unconcerned about appearances. She ran, and she ran. She raced through the dark, dirty alley. It was bright at the other end. If she made it there, she might be able to get away. Or at least, she had that sort of feeling, so she ran towards the light. Then, as she picked up speed to jump into that light, her whole body turned pure white as she was lit up by a pair of headlights. In this clamoring government district of a city, there were, unsurprisingly, no neon lights to brighten up the night. This was Tokyo City 1. The headquarters of the Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces, otherwise known as the I can't say my S's today for some reason. As the GHQ. A single car stopped in front of the government office building, and Butler got out. Thanks for the lift, Rose-chan. Excuse me? Sorry. Damn. Look who is dressed for outside. It's Rose. Damn. I'm so used to characters just wearing one outfit throughout an entire series. This is delightful. It's such a nice, fancy outfit. And there's still like little bits of her old outfit in there. Very nice. And the big rose. Hey. It does look a little like a rope, but I'm pretty sure those are just frills. I would hope that they're frills. I tried, and it immediately did not work. Remember when I was like, oh yeah, I'm so ready? I was not ready. No, the pleasure's mine. Thank you for your company today, Captain. It was normally illegal to park here, but the MPs didn't make a scene. Looking at this car, those guards, and Rose's dignified presence itself, it seemed like an almost natural privilege for them. It was fun getting to see you after so long. Still, dang, you really have gotten a lot more dignified looking. The name Madame Rose doesn't seem out of place anymore. Didn't you want me to become like this? Well, that's a bit more complicated. I did like the old pure and innocent you. And it's somehow exciting to see a rose budding in darkness as it gradually blends in with the black. Thank you. I'll take that as a wonderful compliment for me as I am now. And, of course, I want to continue to treasure the beauty and purity of a rose, There's something all roses need to have.
Of course. Thorns to match their beauty. I have no intention of losing those.
Wonderful. You give me the shivers. I could fall for you more and more. Butler kissed Rose on the cheek and disappeared into the crowd of people entering and leaving the building. He was normally assigned the occupying forces in City 23, so he had no connection with the GHQ. However, he had personal connections with several high-ranking officers who did work at the GHQ. In short, his ambition probably couldn't be contained by City 23 alone. However, he wouldn't be useful as a backer if he were any other way. Sure, let's go with that. Even the old showdown against Caleb wouldn't have been possible without the arrangements he had made with the GHQ. The stronger his connections were, the more it benefited Primavera. Of course, that was true only as long as Primavera benefited him. The relationship between Butler and Primavera had grown even tighter than before. As she gazed lazily at the night lights through the car window, Rose suddenly noticed her face reflected in the window. Her face? Her face.
Lincoln, do you think I've changed a bit?
You give off a dignified presence fitting for one who stands at the top of City 23.
Wayne, what is, I can't make this disappear, but Wayne, we need to talk about your fashion choices. What is going on here? What am I looking at? Is that a vest that doesn't fit? That's like 3 sizes too small? Are you wearing 2 scarves, Wayne? Are you wearing 2 scarves and a choker, Wayne? Wayne. Is that lace? I don't think it is, but I'm not sure. Like on the shoulders, maybe. It is very Wayne. I hate it. It's very Wayne. I'm sorry to all you Wayne fans out there. Why is he wearing 2 scarves and one of them looks like he's wearing it backwards? Just also, none of this fits. He might still have the fingerless gloves. We cannot see his hands. I can't stop staring. What is going on here? Why are you wearing 2 scarves over a suit, my guy? Ugh, okay. Okay. I'm drawn to his fashion choices like a crowd to like a car crash. God, please do not curse me like that. I may not have any fashion I may not have any fashion sense or style, but it's not this bad. Okay. It's not this bad. I promise you. I may look like a lumberjack on my best day, but it's still better than this. You want to see him in full paisley? That would be more coordinated than whatever this mess is. If you put crazy Alfred's head on here, that would be like what he looks like after he got thrown out of a window into trash and then hit by a car. He would look like this. It would be 100% exactly the same. And we'd all go like, oh yeah, that's what you'd look like after that. Wayne is doing this by choice. Think about that. I'm being so mean, I can't get over it though. I'm so mean, but so correct. Maybe they are related. They could be. They could be related. I want to say cousins or something. You know, not super directly related. But like their dads or brothers or something. That kind of vibe. Anyway. Wayne answered from where he sat, in a suit in the passenger seat. Who's driving? Is Rose driving? Mad drip, Wayne? Don't. No, you can't say that. Unhinged drip, Wayne, maybe. Drip is a positive thing, right? You can't just slap that label on him. That's a crime. This is a fashion crime. Wayne had himself developed quite an impressive presence, not the least because of his bizarre fashion choice. Ever since that day when we announced the formation of the Primavera family. Oh, it's ironic. Okay, fair. I'll allow it. I cannot wait to see everybody else's new outfits. I hope they all get new outfits. Maybe they get new outfits every season? That would be wild. All of us have been reborn. Even the once short-tempered Wayne-kun is wearing a suit. And though he was shy about it at first, I think he wears it pretty well now. Sure, Rose, sure. It's strange, but people's hearts change when they change their outfits.
I still have to change a lot more.
I know. So do I. So do we. Unless we change even more, you'll leave us all behind.
I've got a lot to learn too. Or I won't be qualified to lead the way for everyone.
What?
Look out!
In the dim road leading to City 23, a person suddenly appeared in the headlights. The white shadow had suddenly shot out from an alley. Someone let out a stifled scream at the same moment a dull impact shook the car. The driver quickly stepped on the brakes and finally came to a stop, leaving tire marks on the road behind them. Now, Butler's in uniform, so that makes sense. Makes sense that he wouldn't get a new outfit.
What happened? Did we hit someone? Is she okay?
Stay here, Rosan. I'll go take a look.
The car in front of them, with the guards. In front of them with the guards, noticed the accident and came screeching to a stop. The guards all came running. Rose stayed inside the car as ordered, looking out the back window worriedly. Under the dim road lights, she could see a single girl lying on the ground. She didn't know why the girl had come running out into the road all of a sudden, but there was no doubt they had hit her. I wonder where she got hit. I hope she's okay.
Wayne-san, this woman suddenly jumped out, and we hit her. Hey there, miss. Are you okay?
They shook her, but she only seemed to moan slightly. However, they couldn't be sure she was okay unless they took her to a doctor. It would do no one any good to have a rumor going around that Madame Rose had hit a girl and run. Of course, Rose would never even suggest leaving her behind.
Instead of calling an ambulance, it'll probably be faster if we take her to the hospital. Understood. Hey, grab her feet.
Guys, be gentle though. And you're kinda not supposed to move people after something like that. But I guess it's like the 40s, so. The guards tried to lift the girl up. Wayne took another look at her and frowned dubiously. She was wearing worn-out underclothing. On top of that, her feet were bare. Sometimes, starving girls would dress up as pitiable as possible to try and earn sympathy. The guard seemed to be thinking this, but Wayne's keen nose told him something completely different. Remember, because he's a dog? At that moment, several men appeared from the darkness she had leapt from.
Whoa, sorry to bother you guys. That little brat is with us. Our apologies if she's bothered you. Would you mind handing her over? Would you mind handing her over to us? Don't get any closer.
Huh?
Don't even try and approach me casually when I'm dressed up all nice. What's with this kid? You got a problem with us?
The men took knives out of their pockets and held them up to be seen.
You wouldn't want to get a hole in those pretty clothes, would ya?
They're already full of holes. Have you seen the scarf? It's nothing but holes.
Put the brat down and scram. This is why I can't stand other cities. Stop trying to look cool and start.
Hey, wait a second. As one man got caught up in the moment and aimed his knife at Wayne's forehead, his buddy grabbed his shoulder and stopped him. Because the guards had surrounded them and were pointing cold gun barrels at them. I'm so sorry. I just got caught up in the moment. Looks like you've picked the wrong fight. Wayne-san, what should we do with them?
Please spare me. I've just been... without telling the guys at work. Making some pocket change by selling the bodies of little girls?
No, we were just giving food and shelter to a brat without a home and...
Oh, my apologies. I must have misunderstood. In that case, we'll take over that job for you. Any problems with that?
No, we couldn't ask you to.
Do we shoot them? It'll be too loud here. Let's drop them somewhere else.
Somebody help! Help!
The men raced each other as they ran away down the back alley. Wayne gave the signal for the guards to put down their guns and smiled.
How terrible. Forcing her to sell her body like that.
Wow. I might have to cut it short today, because, there's just no sound coming out of my mouth sometimes. Like, I do the thing that makes the words happen, and it's just quiet. It's just silence. I don't know what I did.
We'll look for a nearby hospital. Please go back first, Rosan. Instead of searching, I think it'd be faster to carry her to the general hospital in City 23. I am Madame Rose, a leader of Ladies of the Evening. I cannot abandon a girl who was forced to sell her body without wishing it.
Figured you'd say that. Okay, carry her into that car.
It's okay. We can use this car. It's bigger, for one thing. And I think it's better for a girl to look after another girl.
Surely she hadn't been running around outside in her underwear of her own free will. Rose didn't like the thought of forcing her to be under the gazes of men while dressed like that. The girl was carried into the back seat, where Rose was sitting. Rose rested the girl's head on her lap and wiped the dirt from her face with a handkerchief.
Poor thing. But you'll be safe now.
The girl didn't answer. Either she had fallen unconscious, or the strings of tension had snapped, sending her off to sleep. The whole time until they reached the hospital, Rose worried about her condition. What? Chapter 1. Utopia 1948. What do you mean, Chapter 1? What? That's at chapter 1. I guess we started over, or we're in a new story. We're definitely not in a new season, because I'm pretty sure I'd have to click a button for that. Interesting. I realized I was lying dazed on a bed with white sheets. It didn't feel quite the same as sleeping and then waking up. I had no idea how long I had been here like this. It was as though I'd only realized that fact just now.
Where am I?
Timidly, I looked around. I was in a bed surrounded by sliding curtains. When I anxiously opened the curtain, I saw a row of several more beds. I saw IVs, wheelchairs, nurses dressed in white. The answer to my question was pretty darn obvious. This is a hospital. So, this whole time, I've been playing Sleeping Beauty on this hospital bed. But annoyingly, I didn't know what hospital this was. No, more importantly, I didn't know how long I had been here or why I was staying here. Ugh. I felt the thin blood vessels in my head get clogged with a chunk of memory, giving me a headache. Then, one thing became immediately clear.
Who am I?
I was unable to remember something that obvious. Hold on. How can I not remember? How about just my name? Or if not, how about where this is and how long I've been here? More importantly, did I have a wallet capable of affording a bed in such a magnificent hospital?
Ow. Headache.
As soon as I tried to think, it felt as though the blood vessels in my head really would explode. But it's even more unpleasant not to know anything. No matter how much my head hurts, I've got to at least remember something. When a doctor came by on his rounds and told me that I might be suffering temporary memory loss, I was finally able to sort out my situation. I spent half a day moaning and searching for fragments of memory, but nothing came back to me. And even though I was just minding my own business, suffering from extreme brain constipation, a bunch of noisy people came into the room. Who the fuck is this? Comes with his own theme music. Oh, this looks like Boy Meryl. Just taking a long sip of water. We've been hanging out with the same cast for so long that I temporarily forgot that every time a new character shows up, I have to decide what they sound like, and then stick to that for the rest of the series. So any choice I make now will doom me forever if it turns out to be like Meryl, which isn't even a choice for Meryl's voice. That was a choice for Lambda Delta's voice in Imaneko. And I've been stuck with that ever since. And I regret. So I want to say this isn't gonna be like Boy Meryl or Cheryl. Voicing him like Bernkastel feels like it would be wildly out of character already. Judging from like his face and his outfit, that's not gonna work. Because Bernkastel did not say anything with exclamation points in it. I could do natural voice, but that's like what I use for Butler usually. Like he hams it up a bit, but Watch this guy just be here for like 3 lines and then leave. That can't be right. He has a character portrait. He's gotta be important. It is difficult, but sometimes it's not even, usually, it's not even so much in how I do the voice, it's more in how you do that, you know, the actual talking. Because like, sometimes I don't get the voices right at all. And I know I don't get it right, but because the cadence is the same, you're probably not gonna notice much. Like, half the time I do Wayne, like, it's supposed to sound kind of gritty, because, you know, he does that, he makes it sound extra angsty, emo, whatever, you know, extra Wayne, right? Half the time I don't manage to sound like that, but it still sounds like him. Because he talks, you know, like this, and even if it sounds smooth as fuck because I can't get the gritty part in there, he still talks like an emo little brat. Upbeat, gritty Wayne. Now there's something. I'm not sure it's a good sign. I don't know how that would work. Wayne on LSD, that would explain the outfit. That's just regular Wayne. but like a year into the future, like a year after the events of Mad Trip Wayne. Oh my god. Oh my god. That's okay, that's actually very fucking funny. Yeah. Okay, so for a character like this, right, since we're talking about this, there's been so many names, and they're all fantastic, but Mad Trip Wayne has gotta be my favorite. But yeah, voice-wise, this guy probably has to like sound like he's smiling all the time. Like, he just looks like this, you know, like fucking Richter grin, I think it's called, I don't know. And he looks kind of young, so the pitch has got to go up. And then he's kind of got to sound really like upbeat and like, yeah, you know, that kind of. I told you it was this way. That kind of vibe. I can do sort of like natural voice, but like just super upbeat. I think that would work best because then we're not straying into Meryl territory. We don't go there. Unless it's Meryl, okay? The character has to earn it. And they do that by looking like Lambda Delta. It's the only metric. This guy's kind of halfway there, though. I like his shirt, though. He looks kind of like a little sailor. Yeah, I do love me some Paisley. Okay, my voice needed a little bit of a rest from my botched attempts at sounding like my... Yeah. And... honestly, somehow I feel like there's like a Leo vibe in this outfit. Not sure why. It's the untidiness that... You're right. Yeah. Also, is that earring dangling over there? Yeah. With a cigarette, he'd look like Leo. Okay, I think I'm ready. I might adjust as we go. We'll see. I hope that this isn't an entire group of new characters because... I'll do my best. You've all been here long enough to know what you're getting. It's fine. See? Told you it was this way. After all that going up and down the stairs, I'm starving. Fuck. I cursed myself. Shut up. Be quiet. You're slowing me down. This guy looks like Bernkastel. Can we just... These literally look like Lambda and Burn, but boy versions. And also they look like complete opposites of each other, and I love that already. And it does seem a little bit like a young Richard as well. Who the fuck is that? Oh, okay. Okay. What is this? Jester waitress? What the she's wearing a blue rose, you're right, like in the menu. And what John wears. There's no way that that's like future Jean, right? I've been looking out for who could be future Jean, and I have no idea. Where's clothing? What is this outfit? Catmaid vibe, yeah. But the neck thing makes me think jester. Like, court jester, you know? Just need some bells on there. I guess bells would work for a catmaid as well. God, what is she gonna sound like? Estelle from Trails in the Sky. I'm not familiar with that character. If I remember, I'll look her up later.
Like hell. You're slowing us down more than anyone, Oliver. If you just asked at the front desk, we wouldn't even have to worry about being lost. Sheesh.
Did Wayne have children? Is that what we're learning here? Hey, I'm sorry for all the pauses. I'm just losing my mind over these random children that showed up. He's no longer a lone wolf. He has a pack now.
We're proud wolves, aren't we? Do wolves ask for directions?
I doubt they'd let a wolf into the hospital in the first place.
Every bit of that half hour going up and downstairs, all of that, thanks to Oliver's weird pride.
I'm so hungry I might die.
Take responsibility and buy me some Nikomon on the way home.
Shut up. Be quiet. Buy it with your own money. We are proud. It's definitely there has to be a link with Wayne somewhere here. Wolves don't buy stuff and eat it right away. Wolves don't have money, bud. Hey, I'm trying to remember my own name here. Why are you so noisy? Then, of all things, the three of them came to the bed next to mine. Too posh to be a street rat? Yeah, they're all a little too fancy for street rats, I guess, but Wayne moved up in the world. Maybe he moved the street rats with him. We're looking for the girl in this room. And this must be her.
The girl?
They were looking at an old lady lying peacefully on her bed. She must have been fast asleep since she didn't react to their noise in any way.
You sure they didn't mean Granny?
Silence, fool. Fuck, you knew it. I called it. I called it. Sorry, just really proud of myself. It was very obvious, but also, I called it. This is an expression that Wayne-san uses. He says girl when he means an old lady. And that's Wayne-san for you. He's so cool.
No way. I don't think so. But she's sleeping, isn't she? Should we wake her up?
What an uncouth child. At times like this, the manners of the noble wolf tell us to wait. Until she wakes up. We have 2 Waynes now. And potentially 4 Waynes, but the other 2 seem to not adhere to his teachings to the same extent. So, we have 2 Waynes now. I don't know, I'm gonna live through this. I can barely finish any sentence like this. I'm gonna die.
That's got nothing to do with wolves. Wait, meaning... how long? My stomach and back are gonna be squished together until I die.
At any rate, we shall wait here until she wakes up. If you have any objections, feel free to leave. I, at least, will follow Wayne-san's order until the end. The tall young man named Oliver grabbed a nearby chair, hopped down in it, took out a book, and started to read. I hope for the world at large that is not a book that Wayne wrote about wolf bullshit. Seeing this, the short boy who kept complaining about being hungry sat down on the floor, his stomach rumbling. The girl scolded him for sitting on the floor. The young man yelled at them to shut up and be quiet. The boy's stomach kept rumbling. How can they be so unbelievably noisy? Then, for just an instant, my eyes met the girl's through a gap in the curtain. This is a very successful character introduction though. We immediately know, before it's even stated, who these three hang out with. Potentially why they're here, before they even say it. And you immediately get a grasp of their characters, and also their interactions with each other. I love stuff like that. That's just good writing, honestly. Is it subtle? Not really. Does it work? Yes. Yeah, this was maybe if you were reading this on your own without me pausing literally every second, and sometimes mid-sentence. This would take you, what, 2 minutes? Maybe less? Depending on your reading speed? And yeah, the visual cues help for sure.
Hey, Oliver?
Shut up. Be quiet. I'm reading. It's the story of a fool who got locked up for 19 years just for stealing a loaf of bread.
If I could get 19 years of food in the clink, I'd like to go there too.
I was just thinking that.
Aren't you talking about Les Miserables?
Les Miserables. Though the cover of his book read Crime and Punishment. Shut up. Be quiet. I was only testing you.
More importantly, look! Look!
The girl pointed at me. The young man's gaze crossed mine too.
Isn't this the girl Wayne-san was talking about? Ah! He's right! It's a real girl!
Hey. Don't point. It's rude.
I'll go ask if she's really the girl Wayne-san was talking about. Go ask that nurse. We can't trust Oliver, sheesh.
I'm not wrong. I mean, maybe don't trust Wayne though. He's grown as a person, but he needs to learn to give clear instructions apparently. And maybe to stop calling old ladies girls, I guess. I don't know. They didn't have... Let's try that again. They didn't seem to put much faith in their leader, Oliver. The boy grabbed a nurse in the hall, pointed this way, and talked with her for a bit. Then, for better or worse, it was revealed that the three noisy people were here to see me. Yeah, he's a work in progress.
I'm Charles. Nice to meet you. Hey, this is a hospital. Keep your voice down. Sorry about that. I'm really sorry about these adults being so noisy.
She spoke Japanese in a very noticeable dialect. I was more or less able to make out what she said, but if I ever let my guard down, I'd lose track of what she was saying.
Hello. Pleasure to meet you.
They were so noisy that I still hadn't remembered my name when it came time to introduce. Today is not a good reading day. When it came time to introduce myself. Still, by now it was all so noisy and stupid that I couldn't really feel grave about anything. I'm Oliver. We came here to get you, in accordance with Wayne-san's orders. We've also heard that you lost your memory and have no place to live. I'd realized that my memories was gone, but I also have no home. The shocking truth was almost as shocking as the casual way I'd been told it. However, that name, Wayne, seemed vaguely familiar to me. That and Rose?
That's right. You got hit by Madame Rose's car. If you're trying to earn some cash by faking car accidents, you probably want to get a new job, because you really suck at it.
That's a high-level job, since you need to get the angle just right. But what has Wayne been teaching these kids?
Hey kids, here's how to effectively throw yourself in front of a car.
Someone stop this man.
It's way easier to steal some corrupt merchant's wallet instead. Enough of your weird ideas. I'm sorry, these men are just incapable of politeness. Oh, no, that's...
That was all I could manage to say. Later on, a doctor came and said that there was nothing wrong with me except my missing memories. Apparently, almost a week had passed since I'd been brought in here. Going by what they said, this Wayne person was apparently the one who sent them to get me. And the boss of all these people was apparently named Madame Rose. Apparently, this lady thinks This lady had hit me with a car and has been worrying about it this whole time. If she hadn't, I wouldn't have been able to relax in these white sheets in such a good hospital until today.
Anyway, we can't have you dressed like that forever.
Wayne-san gave us some money and told us to pick you out some clothes.
What? That wasn't reward money? And I thought we'd get to eat a whole pile of Nikuman.
Shut up. Be quiet. Did you really think he'd spare a $1,000 bill just for you to eat Nikuman? I bet he did. I mean, you're not wrong that their bones are gonna be less breakable at that age, but the rest of them is still gonna be squishy. They took me outside and had me choose clothes at a wonderful boutique. Or more accurately, I was treated like a doll. When they handed the big dollar bill to the American shopkeeper, who spoke in fractured Japanese, she picked a matching outfit for me all on her own. These clothes are really nice. The money they had handed over to buy the clothes apparently didn't belong to them, but had been given to them by their boss. At that point, I realized that they weren't just a band of 3 noisy people, but that they were backed by someone of good financial status. Just who are these people? Who's Wayne-san? Who's Madame Rose? I mean, seriously, what's Primavera? And first of all, won't someone tell me my name? Hey, who am I? I'm just totally lost now. I've gotten past a mere headache and now my head's throbbing and dizzy. Oh, they did her hair up too. That's cute. It's, an interesting design. Cute though.
Where are we? This is Primavera, the place we've just been talking about. It's Madame Rose's club. Every time I look, I still can't believe how huge it is.
I tensed up reflexively. I was glad to be given beautiful clothes to wear. But now they brought me to what's clearly a club for ladies of the evening. Don't tell me these people are planning to sell me away.
Don't get the wrong idea. We wouldn't do that. It's the other way around. When you were about to be sold off to someone, the madam is the one who saved you.
This way. Follow me. The front entrance was apparently for customers only. We went around to the back entrance. There we saw a truck being unloaded, and a bunch of people chatting who appeared to be businessmen and workers at the club.
What are you brats doing? This isn't a playground.
They always treat us like brats. Of course, Izaniki. Of course.
Bring Aniki Wayne here. Tell him we've brought the girl.
Look at this clown. At least it's... You're right. You're right. Anything is better than Daddy Caleb. Aniki, 2 scarves and a choker, Wayne. Before long, the young man who the kids adored and called Wayne-san appeared.
Well done. And the change from the clothes money?
In this bag.
A very nice outfit.
Did you pick it out, Nina?
I only helped a bit. The person at that store has a great eye.
Okay then. Well done. Get something to eat with it. Get something to eat with this and go home.
Fucking knew it.
Woohoo! Can I buy some Nikamon? Aniki Wayne, you rock.
And because you accept it, that's when you get treated like a brat.
Why should a brat care if a brat calls him a brat? You're a brat too, aren't you?
I'm not a brat. Only you.
You both are. Stop trying to look cool and get out of here.
It really is just going... The voice is going more Meryl too. And they are Meryl and Stella-ish, and also Meryl and Berncastle-ish, and it's, yeah. It has to be on purpose, right? I can't prove it, but I got a hunch.
So long, miss. See you later.
The 3 of them were noisy until the end. As I stood there, left all alone, Wayne-san signaled for me to follow him. I don't really get what's going on, but I've got to at least thank the person who rescued me. For now, I'll have to trust that those three aren't agents for a slaver. I was apparently in the backyard of this Club Primavera place. It was a nighttime establishment, so it probably wasn't open for business yet. There was no one to be seen except by the service entrance. Yes, it's my favorite song. Eventually, we reached the main hall inside the club, which had a huge stage. It had a fantastical feel to it, like something out of a picture book. I had heard of the World of the Night, but I'd never known what sort of place it was, so this was a huge culture shock. Businessmen went in and out, apparently changing the layout of the potted plants and furniture and so on. Rosa, I brought the girl. Rosa, is this the boss of this place, Madame Rose? She's a boss who rules the world of the night, so she must be some sort of crafty old lady. One of the women giving instructions to the businessman turned around. However, it was a sweet-looking woman, completely unlike the one I'd imagined. Aww. Back in the old outfit.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hello, I'm Rose. Have you remembered your name? You're,
I remembered seeing her. When I was suffering, I think she rested me on her lap and wiped my forehead with a handkerchief. The pieces of memory didn't come together neatly, but when I heard that she was the one who saved me, I felt like it might be true.
I'm sorry. Seems I'm in your debt, but I can't even introduce myself.
I was hoping the rest of the cast would get new outfits, but no. Meryl, why? Yeah, maybe they'll go outside and do a party or something. We get to see some new drip.
Is this the girl? Ooh, she looks cute enough to use in the club.
Don't scare her, Meryl. Jesus. Girl doesn't even know her own name.
I wonder.
You two need to learn when to stop talking. And it's before you open your mouth is when the stop talking needs to happen.
I wonder. That doesn't look like the face of someone who's known a man, does it?
Thank God Rose is here.
Stop that, Stella. She's our guest. You mustn't say things like that. Still, her hair really is lovely. It's a shame it's so dry, though.
Jesus Christ, what happened to these two?
They say that long hair hides all defects. Then, wouldn't you have to grow yours another meter?
Not read today.
Then, wouldn't you have to grow yours another meter to hide all of them? Be quiet for a second, you two. I'm sorry about the noise.
The three who brought me here sure were noisy, and so were these women. I wonder if everyone involved with Primavera is this noisy. Still, it felt as though some of the tension had faded away. They couldn't have built up this sort of atmosphere unless they were easygoing. At the very least,
I'm pretty sure now that this isn't a den of evil filled with slavers. That's probably for the best. That's good to know. Okay. I am going to save it here and leave the rest for next time. Because, yeah, it's... voice ain't having it today. But I feel like this is a good stopping point, and we got to see some cool new outfits today, and everyone seems to be doing alright, so that's nice. Yeah, honestly, this is the worst first impression they could have given her. Like, here, put on these nice clothes, sneak through the back. You know, where the customers don't go. Everybody else does. The employees go there. And then they talk about like using her in the club, like, maybe don't, guys. You don't know what she's been through. Could be setting off all kinds of trauma. What the fuck? I feel like they probably would have been better about that a year earlier, surprisingly. Like, Season 1, them would have handled that better. I don't know. Post Caleb Primavera crew maybe has had, you know, everything's been going well for them, so they kind of forgot how to deal with people who are in deep shit. They've seen some shit, and then they've seen, like, happier times, so they forgot about all the shit they saw, I guess? I don't know. Maybe they were goofing off to deliberately reduce the tension, but that's not what that seemed like. I don't know. That was a fun episode, though. I mean, they like her fine, like in the we want you to work for us sort of sense. 4 new characters is a lot, yeah. I'm going to assume that they're all gonna become friends in the end. But like snarky friends, because yeah, almost everyone is snarky friends in this. There's so much snark in this series. I'm not sure there are... Well, no, there are unsnarky friendships because Rose isn't snarky. Maybe Nina's gonna be like a Rose stand-in. Charles is a Meryl stand-in. Oliver is a Stella stand-in. And maybe a bit of Richard in there. And then Nina's wait, I mean the new girl's gonna be the Rose stand-in? And Nina's gonna be like... wild card, yeah. She's gonna be the Wayne. They're all gonna be the Waynes, spoiler alert, because, well... Maybe Nina is Wayne from the future, you know? You remember the Wayne from there? Or maybe that's just Oliver who took on Wayne's name. Everything's different now that they've introduced like a gaggle of little Wayne ducklings. Waynelings. Maybe Wayne does die and doesn't make it to the future. We don't know now. I bet John isn't... unless next time it's gonna be like, oh, you don't remember your name? We'll just name you Jean. Sounds nice. Yeah, you know, something like that. But she's so young, though. That's wild. I don't know. I don't know. This whole time I've been on the lookout for who could be old. Not old. Just regular Jeanne. Young Jeanne. Does it need to be a plot twist, though? I don't know. Though we did for a while, I think we threw around the theory that it was Amanda instead. I'm not sure where Amanda went, though. They haven't really talked about her in the plot, so it could still happen. It could still be Amanda. Yeah, the blue hair. I mean, it's right there. But then Nina has a blue rose. But then maybe the rose that Jeanne has is a gift. And they don't have blue hair, no, but gray hair in cartoons and stuff is sometimes blue-ish, like light blue. Or like a light purple. So maybe they don't have blue hair to begin with. Maybe it's dye. It's entirely, I don't know. It could also be, it's probably not Meryl, I don't think. I also don't think it's Stella, just vibe-wise, that doesn't line up. Yeah, my money's on... Okay, to be fair, I think it could still be Rose somehow. It could still be Rose. It could be Nina, because Blue Rose. It could be New Girl. And... it could be Amanda. Those are the viable options right now. 4 candidates. Yep, now we gotta start a vote. Which is shortest? They might all be equal height. Like, the character sprites at least. That's true, Amanda would definitely be the tallest, just from the hair. Jeanne isn't particularly short though, right? Although old people shrink. Yeah, I guess she does look short. She has the hat though, so that throws me off. Is it a hat? I don't know. I mean, the only answer here is keep reading and we'll find out. So that's what I'll do. Next time though. I do wonder how that's gonna... Like, maybe it's a mystery 5th person, you know? It could still be. Maybe it was Stella all along. And she just went through like a character growth arc or something to make her more reserved. Maybe it's Meryl. Maybe it's Kumasawa. And how is she there? Mackerel. She would have like a mackerel pin or something on her, I bet. Or at least mention mackerel, but maybe that's where the sashimi comes in. They didn't specify what type. The answers are all there. Staring us right in the face. We are fools to not pick up on the signs. I want to say yes, but I don't know. I only remember tinned and sashimi being mentioned. Like tinned mackerel. And like a casserole. And at some point it was like mackerel candy also. So soy sauce, not out of the realm of possibilities. I'm not sure off the top of my head if that's ever mentioned. Yeah, mackerel candy is a thing that she mentioned at some point. I cannot imagine that being very good. But I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong. But I don't want to find out. At all. Okay, but mackerel? Wait. That doesn't count as a sweet. I also don't think that's how the word teriyaki works, but... Wait, no, I might be wrong about that actually. Either way, that sounds like it could be really good. I'm not sure if I've ever had mackerel, so I don't know if that would... I don't know what that would be like. With every word you say about this, you're convincing me that it, like, more and more that it is in fact not going to be good. I still don't think that canned fish falls into candy territory. But I don't know. I guess, but that would that not go for anything? Like put enough sugar on anything and it becomes candy? Oh, I did not really. I did not expect you to go yet. I don't know why. I expected it. Of course not, Sam. Anything is candy if you try hard enough, is what we've learned here today. Except Surströmming. Thing is, if it applies to anything else, it also has to apply to that. You have to admit. Anything can be candy if you try hard enough. It would hide the smell. I would say we live in a capitalist society, so don't throw ideas out there that you do not want to become reality. Because if someone sees money in that, it will happen. Whether you like it or not. So don't will things into being unless you want to like bear the responsibility for it. Unless you're ready to deal with the consequences of it. You'd pay to try it? You're so brave for saying that. and rather you than me, so yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's we have fun here, and sometimes it just, you know, tips over into horrifying. And that's fun. Oh, yeah. I know the things you mean. I saw you were playing it on Discord. What do you think so far? I still need to finish it. Did I hype it up too much? There's also like a lot of like, we're in high school, let's go and do community service, sort of, we're in a club stuff as well. So it's definitely not like all horror, but I think that makes the horror hit harder for me. Yeah. The main character is I think he qualifies as a himbo. He doesn't look like one, but he qualifies as one for sure. Everything is solved by punching, yeah. Gotta charge up my fist. Yeah, with like the... The parts I've read so far have also kind of treated it as like a state of mind thing, not just punching. But it's like a meditation sort of deal. The technique that has been passed down through generations of just punching a tree over and over until you reach a state of mind where you can basically defeat anything and everything somehow. Even though you're a teenager. Which, yeah, where do I get me some of that? I feel like I would not have anxiety anymore if I did that. Yeah. Up to where I read, he calls his dad and he's like, "Oh geez, I don't think I done did it." And the dad's like, you can do it." So that makes sense that's the follow. It's like, "Oh geez, I don't know, I can do this," and the dad's just like, "Punch more. Just punch more." I wish I could solve all my problems with just punching. I can? Holy shit, I did not know that. Oh. Surely boxers have problems they cannot punch. Surely. I feel like that's sort of like a... There's... To be fair, probably anyone can punch their problems away. You just gotta punch hard enough. And, yeah. Yeah. It's... I think the key lesson here today is try hard at things and it'll probably work out. Which is actually an example of toxic positivity. Because sometimes things don't go well. And that's just how it is. So, if you say things like, try hard enough and it'll work, that implies that if something doesn't work, he didn't try enough, which can send people spiraling into depression, etc. Yeah, then you have to try another approach. So maybe that's maybe yeah. That was the real lesson here. Is there are multiple things you can try. You can try punching, dousing something in sugar, and there was a third thing that came up, but I don't remember. Or you can stop trying. That's option 4, I guess. I'm not sure why this episode needed to have a message, but that's it. Yeah. Okay, Kat. Now you're just telling lies on the internet. Dress like Wayne and have the world laud your fashion sense. He wears 2. Show me the people who loved it, and I will laugh at them for being wrong. He's wearing 2 scarves. The girl's clothes, not his. That, Okay, but even a broken clock is like right twice a day. Just because he doesn't recognize the atrociousness of his own clothes doesn't mean he can't appreciate good clothing. He's wearing 2 scarves and a choker. And he still has that like little rat tail braid thing going on. The fucking Jedi hair. It's just not okay to walk around like that. At the very least, get like a vest for your suit that fits. Hey, it's not like he can't afford the clothes. You know, he can probably afford a tailor. Yeah, no, I'm gonna have nightmares about that outfit. The jacket's alright. No, yeah, you have a good point. It's the everything else that's the problem. The accessorizing, the vest, the hair. It's something that I have not invented a word for yet. And I'm not really a word inventor, so we'll never know what the word for that is. Unless someone else invents it, who isn't me. He looks... you say shopped at an emo adult store? I feel it more like he looks like he shoplifted from there by putting on the clothes. Because it's like he's wearing too many of them. It's just too many clothes. Yeah, like, you know, you go to the fitting booth, and you put on a lot of clothes, and then you just run. To maximize the amount of clothing you can steal, you put on as many as possible. That kind of vibe is what that gives off. I'm glad you've never tried that. I also have never tried that, nor even considered it until just now, when I was trying to find words for what his look is. I assume that that's what people who steal clothing do. I don't know if that's actually true or if it would even work. Just a disclaimer for you there. I do not speak from experience. I might be talking nonsense. If I was ever a shoplifter, it was definitely in a past life, as in not this current one that I am living right now. And I also contain no memories from this past life that I might have spent shoplifting. So yeah, don't believe the lies, I am innocent. You should try it at least once to see if you can get away with it. Oh my god. Okay, listen. If you dress like Wayne, there is not a chance in hell that you get away with it. Because anyone who sees you is going to stare at you for the duration of which you'll be in the store. You will be hounded. Which is appropriate for Wayne, right? But like, people will literally... I guess maybe if you showed up in normal clothing, there's no way you could pull that off. Unless you ran. Yeah, okay, I think as a strategy for shoplifting, I don't think it's a very good one, actually, on second thought. You can get away with that once. But you're gonna be so, like, distinct, you're gonna stand out so much. I think it's gonna work. Not very stealthy. What? That's true. But they can call the police though, and they can just be like, it's that weirdo in the white suit and the two scarves and the choker. You know from secondhand experience, okay. I know that from reading it on the internet. Yeah. Well, this is why you shouldn't take shoplifting advice from me, because it's not gonna work, it's gonna be bad advice, because I have no personal experience. Weird, yes, but what a mental image, though. Male stripper Wayne running out of Tesco with a hand. You would never forget that. That would be seared into your memory. You would tell that story at parties. One time I saw a guy dressed like this. Yeah, that would be... You could live the rest of your life off of just like... You would always have an icebreaker. You would... Your social life would be set. You could befriend anyone with that. Except for Wayne. And that's a small price to pay. Oh, I need to stop. It is better if you can get pictures, yeah. I have to put this in my notes now, that for the summary for next week, that I dunked on Wayne relentlessly. Wayne got relentlessly dunked on by me. Yeah. Oh boy. I completely lost track of anything I wanted to say at this point as like the outro, and it was just dunking on Wayne. literally just that. And still don't regret it. It is Mafia-esque, yes. But I mean, Rose had like a nice, fancy, distinguished outfit. And then Wayne and his crew come in looking like clowns, you know? So I don't know if that's an improvement. She's the Mafia Queen. I guess Wayne is the Mafia Clown then. So he's dressed appropriately. Mafia Jester, if you will. Yeah, can't beat Rose, so... I guess, yeah. Yeah, good point. I guess he does okay. Good for him. Oh boy, okay. Yeah, it's gonna be it for me for today. We have dunked on him enough. We'll give the poor boy a rest until next week. There to make her look better by comparison. She doesn't need that. She doesn't need that. She can carry the look on her own. Ah, poor Wayne. He's never gonna catch a break. It's kind of his own fault, but he can never catch a break. Especially now he has mini Waynes running around. Alright, well. Maybe next week we'll see what the deal is with the little mini Waynes. The Waynelings. Maybe we'll find out, what the name is of this mystery new person. I suspect that they're gonna just make up a name, I'll be honest. I bet Rose is gonna be like, oh, this can be your name now. I don't know, that would be cute. I think that would be cute. You hope they call her Wayne. Me too, but it has to have a prefix. It has to be like Better Wayne. Or something. Yeah. That would be neat. Wayne-chan. That's cute though. But we already have the 4 Waynes potentially. We don't need a 5th. But Leo's gone, they can call her Leo. I feel like Leo will be back at some point. And I'm still actually hoping for Miguel to be alive. Not Caleb. I hate him now. I don't know. Redemption arc Caleb could be good. Redemption arc Miguel could be good. Less crazy but still very unhinged Miguel could be fun. Even if he doesn't have a redemption arc. Redemption arc Alfred, no. I sleep. No thanks. No thanks, I'm not getting out of bed for that. I really don't want that. Keep in mind, this is someone who named himself Crazy Alfred. And I kinda hope he doesn't come back so I don't have to do the cringe accent again. That's my real reason. That's my motivation. If he comes back, that's when I start my own villain arc. That's when I riot. I say this, but he already came back from what we thought was death once, so... God, I wish I could have a villain arc. I would love that for me. Maybe he does just need, like, some normalcy to ease off on the crazy, and then he realizes, like, you know what, this is fine. I can just talk normally, without... I'm good, actually. Maybe I'll become a carpenter, you know? Yeah, just work a normal like a normal job. Maybe something where, you know, you get to hone a skill, craft something, Settle down. Make an honest living. Yeah. If there's hope for Crazy Alfred, there's hope for all of us. Brings a tear to my eye. What would he make? What are the things called on Windows? Sorry, I'm laughing at my own joke. I haven't even told it yet. But you know, the things that you use to... Window shutters. No, shutters, like, so you can close the windows and then lock the shutters so that you can't be thrown out of them anymore. It wasn't even a good joke, but it still made me laugh. Yeah. That was his big undoing, you know? Getting yeeted out of a window. So he just put shutters in everywhere. I mean, okay, he did go through a closed window, so I guess it didn't matter. No, that's true, but he was gone for a long time, probably recovering. So, maybe he makes chairs. Or like you said, little carvings, or yeah, something fancy and useless. Knickknacks you can put around the house, you know. He has options. The world is at his feet. He makes clothing for Wayne, and he needs to stop. That might actually be it. That might be it. Is that why he needed money so desperately? To fund his tailoring business? That's where the crazy comes from. It all makes sense now. Yep, so when he comes back, I definitely riot. He was to blame for all the bad things in the world. Mainly Wayne's outfit. God. Should have known. He's gonna be the final season's villain. I bet. You watch. He's gonna be the last villain. The big bad, the boss, and his biggest crime is gonna be Wayne's wardrobe. Or it's just gonna be Miguel. I'm only saying that because I want to see Miguel again, but... Oh my god. Do you think he's the one who made Caleb's Boy King outfit? Because that would be so funny. And awful, but funny. I would love it if he came, just showed up looking like a fancy colored Michelin man, you know? Like you said, just wearing all their outfits, all the bad outfits in the series so far, all at once. I'd pay to see that. Each time you defeat him, he removes another layer of clothing. As long as he doesn't end up like clothingless. That sounds like a good boss battle, yeah. You should literally remove the horrible fashion from him. Until he's just in his little average suit at the end. His not crazy outfit. Yeah, that could work. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, we're cooking. It's definitely not gonna be... It was gonna be something. That's what I'll say. You hope this... Yeah, you wanted it to go like full fashion police? Primavera fashion police? It sounds kinda... has a ring to it. Wow. I guess we'll find that out next week, because that's when I will be back with more of this nonsense. The nonsense being my part, and there's also a really good story that, you know, that's happening that I am not responsible for. The nonsense is all me, though. Yeah. So next week on Thursday we'll be back. Also keep an eye on my YouTube, where I post videos regularly at the moment, including Rose Guns Days, also Baldur's Gate stuff, and some shorts here and there, and I think they're neat. So yeah. I bet Ryukishi ended up with like crazy outfit, shows up at the end dressed like a colorful Michelin man wearing everyone's outfits. Yeah, he definitely explored that plotline. Sure he did. Yeah. And then he probably got like a big giant red pen and was like, no, cross that out, that's terrible. It's funny, but terrible. He's gonna be he is working on Silent Hill now, apparently. Just as an aside. So, well, Konami's track record, not great at the moment with the current, like there's an ongoing Silent Hill thing at the moment, and it's not good. There are a lot of Silent Hills, yeah. And the recent ones, whew, bad, real bad. More from a business perspective, like, basically, you know, microtransactions, stuff like that, all kinds of weird nonsense. Games getting cancelled, that sort of thing. So here's hoping Rikishi has a good time writing it, and it actually gets, like, you know, I'm worried. And his other works are on hold until he finishes this, so, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. I thought people were like super jazzed about what George R.R. Martin did for Elden Ring. You didn't notice his influence? Apparently he wrote like the backstory, like the setup for it. And then they took it from there, the rest of the team, something along those lines. Yeah, here's some background on the... Yeah, that would explain why, like, his presence isn't super there, I guess, and I think that might have been on purpose? I'm not sure, though. Yeah, here's some background. So have fun with that one, and Yeah, I'm worried. No game needs a founder's pack. Just, but especially not like a Twitch Play style, like TV show. Oh my god. Okay. Yeah. So that's something. But I guess we'll see when that game comes out. If it ever does. God, I hope it does though. I feel like 3 weeks is generous. I really do. But yeah. Okay. I'm actually gonna go this time. Yeah, so there's stuff going on my YouTube. Rose Guns Days is gonna be ongoing, barring real life stuff getting in the way. And I had fun. Had to cut it short for my voice, and then still ended up talking for another hour almost after, so oops. But using my real voice does not hurt me as bad. And hopefully, I'm sure next week it'll go better. It doesn't help that it's cold season, you know. Dry air bad for voice. Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I don't know what I did to make it so bad today, but it's always a surprise with me. I will put my entire set, desktop, PC, the whole thing, I'll put it in the bathroom next time. I'm sure the PC will like that. It'll love it. Alright, most important thing, thank you for watching. Thank you, Kat, for being here in the chat and chatting. It was fun. Thank you for lurking, watching the VOD, all that stuff. I really appreciate it. And I will see you next week. And maybe from like the past / future in a video. Until then, have a good day, week, night, year, month, minute. Have a good minute. I'm gonna run out of things to say for this one. I should not have started switching them up. My standard was fine. But hey, I'm in it now, so I have to continue it. Yeah, have a good minute. Thanks again, I'll see you next time. Bye bye.